Bill Faster asks, so you're starting to think about defining what the first version of the release game might look like. Do you think that would change wildly depending on which direction y'all go with funding, publishing, etc.? It's not as likely to diverge wildly. I think it's probably just going to be we're going to come up with a plan and drive towards it. The only way that I would picture it diverging wildly from like something where we're, something that I was describing or something along those lines or whatever we wind up telling you guys on stream, is if we found the perfect partner, if somebody approached us and was just like, hey, really love the game, they understood what we were trying to do, were able to allow us to continue to make the game that we want to make, and they're like, here's a giant bag of money, just do your thing. I would still think, I would still think that the plan, even in that scenario, will sound about like what we were talking about, because what's the alternative? The alternative would be to take the giant bag of money, scale the team to 5 times what it currently is, and try to preserve the culture, which will be hard. And then go dark for a year while hammering out the game? Yeah, I don't know. I would say if we find a publisher or some external like funding source that's not the community, they would have to basically go along with a kind of a version of what we were describing a minute ago, right? I don't know. I know I've talked about sort of the philosophy on why we think this is doable with a smaller team a few times. I can't think of a VOD to point you to immediately. But the long story short is, if you go to the about on here, my about, like I guess you scroll down or whatever. I've been working on MMOs since I joined the industry in early 2000, and I've worked at a few companies now. Well, I would say every company that I worked at, the project started with a smaller team. I think EQ was depending on the interview that we've had, 30 to 50 people, like the core team, 30-ish. The next company I worked at was King's Isle Entertainment, which started with a small team as well. And as the game sort of grew in popularity, they grew the company considerably. Like when I got there, I think it was like 80 people. When I left, it was like 200 and some people. The next company I went to is Big Point in Germany, which the team I was working with on our MMO that had been out for like 9 years when I got there was 20 some people, 30 people. And that game could have been made with 10 people, to be honest. The next company I worked at was Star Stable Entertainment, which was, I think, 10 or 11 people, made the game and launched it. And then that company was 70 people when I got there and 125 when I left. So I think it's important to keep in mind, and then one of the inspirations I look to out there, if you look at Project Gorgon, it for some people, that's a game they really like. Some people, they disagree with certain aspects of it or whatever. But no matter what you think, it's a game that was made by two people, and has been going for 5-6 years now, and continues to iterate and grow and add features and improve the art and stuff. So it is feasible, especially with modern engines, especially if you're not trying to reinvent every wheel. Especially if the team has like a North Star that they can clearly identify, where we don't have to have a design meeting about every single thing that we do. Most of our discussions are some back and forth in our Slack, essentially our Discord. What you're looking at right now is we first started talking about this game in direct messages 2 years ago this month. What would be a comfortable team size? It's a great question because I think about it a lot. I mean, we could be a 1 million person team if we're somehow able to find 1 million people that are in good alignment. So for me, I think it's less about a specific number and more about the question of why do we wind up reaching a certain number. And so what we don't want to do is inflate the team unnecessarily in order to try to scale quickly to get more done quickly. We want to make sure that we continue to get people get the people that we think match who we are, get them in at a rate where they can kind of adapt, and just picture like a big ball of gum where you just take the gum out of your mouth and you squish it onto the gum ball. And we just want to make sure that we keep squishing people onto the gum ball in a way that works, and then so that we're not just trying to squish a whole nother gum ball onto the gum ball, which is a really shitty analogy, but hopefully you get it. It's like Critters 2 when all the critters join together to form the ultra mega critter that rolls around eating people. Dude, I love that. I love that reference. What kind of player base are you looking to get? Always as much as possible, but CCU wise, what do you think you can handle at the moment? CCU wise, I don't think that's the question. It's more of because as CCU grows, right? In theory, we have different options for how do we support that those concurrents. So if I were to ask Ali again this very moment, like what CCU could we support? Ali's answer will be whatever CCU we get. It's just going to be a matter of enacting that solution and kind of looking how much is that distributed across multiple shards or multiple servers versus how much do we want to keep on a single server, like peak CCU on a given server. Do we want to keep that at 2,000, 3,000? Where do we want to go? We're going to scale slowly. It's inevitable that we scale slowly. So those will be not looking to do single server idea. No. We like servers and server identities that may change in the future or whatever. But for the time being, we're pretty okay with that.